at the second year, pay 20,000, 20,000. So you will charge interest at 6%. So interest the right now is how much? 1200. So your entry in the 2022 year, this becomes 1,200, and this also becomes 1,200. Hence, the amount that you pay to Chandi Prasad becomes 20,000 plus 1,200. So it's 21,200 here and 21,200 here. Agreed? Depreciation remain as it is. Your entry transfer to P&L. Interest amount changes to 1,200. So that means the amount transferred to P&L is now 11,200. Yes. Do you agree with this? Any doubts with cash method? Yes, Cleant. Okay, just give me 1 second. I will prepare a table so that it becomes easy for you to understand. So we have opening, principal, interest, installment, closing, and for your. Okay. So let's talk about this. Your opening cash price, principal, interest, installment, closing cash price. Okay. This is what we generally prepare. Start with year 0, year 1, year 2, and year 3. Okay. So when we talk about opening cash price is 1 lakh rupees. Agreed? So this is 1 lakh rupees, which we are making a down payment of 40,000 rupees, which includes no interest, which make this as 40,000 rupees. Correct? So closing cash price becomes 60,000. Now this closing cash price becomes opening of the next period. So 60,000 is the opening. Correct? Principal amount is fixed here. That is 20,000 you pay in 3 equal installments. That is what is being mentioned in the question, because interest is extra. So principal is fixed at 20. But how much is interest? They said interest is 6% on closing. So closing is 60,000. So you on this 60,000 you charge 6%. So this comes 3,600. So the amount of installment that you have paid becomes 23,600. Correct? What is the closing cash price? That is your opening cash price minus principal. So this becomes 40,000. Correct? So this 40,000 is now transferred here to the next period. Again, you charge interest on this 40,000. So what is 6% on 40,000? 2,400. Correct? So how much installment have you paid now? 22,400. Correct? What is your closing cash price? Which is 40,000 minus 20, the principal that you have paid. So the closing cash price is 20,000, which is again transferred here. The opening. Now that you pay, charge interest amount at 6%, which is 1,200. See, amount of interest that you pay is 21,200. Okay, is this clear now? Yes. Any doubts now? This table here, and we have just converted into this journal entry. Any doubts? Anybody? Okay, so thumbs up. So coming to this table again, so if I make a total of this, total of principal, so is 1 lakh, which is my cash price. Correct? Total of interest 1,600, 1,100, 7,000 is my interest, and total of installment becomes 1 lakh, 7,200, which is my higher purchase price. Correct? Okay. Now what do we do is the next is we try to what have we understood so far is how do we accounting using cash price method. How do we do accounting using cash? Shift our little bit of a view from cash price method. I'll try to scroll it a little bit down. Let us bring our attention to a second method. So you can refer to this. This is full-fledged solution. So which is already shared to you. So you can revise this. Even if I want to ask ledger, we can do that. I don't think asking ledger and asking journal is a task. If you can pass journal entries, ledger account can also be done. We'll come to the balance sheet afterwards. Let us talk about the second method. Is interest suspense method. Okay. Now what happens under interest suspense method is other things remaining the same. The only change is in the interest. And these two entries which I have highlighted are the ones with changes. So some authors are of the perspective that why are we charging interest every year? Like how did we do in this particular entry? You increase the claim of your creditors every year. So this entry you increase Chandi Prasad by 3,600. Then again in second year or again increasing. Third year also you are increasing. So if you take a long term loan, you will keep on doing this multiple number of years, right? But we all have gone through AS. We have studied about accounting standards, which talks about prudence, right? So accounting standards say that if you know that you are already going to pay so much, why are you raising them every year? Why are you not doing that at the beginning of the transaction of hire purchase? So as per interest suspense method, what happens is you transfer the entire amount of interest at the beginning in the first year itself to interest suspense account and increase your claim of creditors by that much amount. Okay. So you create an interest suspense account and you full total interest is increased. Okay. So when you want to charge interest rather than doing interest account debit to Chandi Prasad or to hire purchase vendor, it's like you are amortizing that every year. Okay. It's like you are amortizing that. Fair enough. The changes in the our problem what we do, let us understand that. So first entry remains as it is, second entry also remains as it is. Rather than doing it for individual years every year, we take the total of interest and transfer it to hire purchase vendor. And every year, rather than doing interest to hire purchase vendor, we do interest to interest suspense. Okay, rest everything remains the same. So if in this problem which we just discussed right now, if I just do one thing is I'll just copy and I will just paste this problem here on the next page. So this solution is as per cash price method. Now let us convert this cash price method to interest suspense method. Now what happens in cash price method to interest suspense method? First entry and second entry has no effect. It's the same. But the third entry of interest, you have some additions to this. What is the addition in this? So on this day, that is on the date of purchase itself, what do you do is you create an account called as interest suspense account. Okay, and you debit it by total interest. And I guess this table what we prepared gives us total interest. So how much is the total interest? 7,200. So we put it here, interest suspense account 7,200. Okay, and this we increase the claim of Chandi Prasad by 7,200. Okay. Now when I want to charge interest, rather than giving credit effect to Chandi Prasad, because Chandi Prasad is already been given a credit effect of 7,200 here, so you don't need to increase the claim. his claim at any point of time, right? So rather than passing this entry, that is interest to Chandi Prasad, you rather reduce the amount of interest suspense by that much amount. So this changes to interest suspense account. Okay, so this is the change that you have done. It's the only this part. That's it. From your cash price to interest suspense method, you added this entry and you are charging interest to interest suspense account. The rest everything remains the same. Again, second year. Rather than interest to Chandi Prasad, what do we do? Interest to interest suspense. Okay. So this is the only change that we have done, that we have changed from Chandi Prasad to interest suspense. The rest everything remains the same. Okay. Third year also same thing. Rather than interest to Chandi Prasad, what do we do? Interest suspense. So can you see over the year, one second. Okay. So rather than doing this every time, rather than giving increasing the claim of Chandi Prasad, we increased his claim once, transferred it to a suspense account, and every year that balance of suspense account is getting reduced. So first year it reduced by 3600, next year it reduced by 2400, and last year it reduced by 1200 and it's gone. So you don't have any interest suspense left in your books of accounts. Is that clear? I don't think now it should be a trouble understanding these two methods. It's the same. The only thing is the perspective is different. One says you should increase the claim at once, not slowly every year. Any doubts on this?
So the interest suspense account to hire purchase vendor account entry only has to be done the first year, right?
You will do it only once. Now, why will you do it every year? Because if you have increased the claim of your hire purchase vendor, it's done. Why you have to raise it every year? It's done. Correct. Any other doubts? Okay, fair enough. You also have accounting entries in the books of hire purchaser. I've just given you the entries. We are not covering that part because we have already taken too much of load on your statement of interest and also towards the accounting part. So we don't want too much. So we will just focus on accounting entries in the books of hire purchaser. Okay. So now let us come to your little bit of a doubts that you wanted to have on annuity method. Let me come to that question on annuity that we discuss. Let's see that. So let's see this problem first. This is on basis of annuity method. But remember, this is the problem where you have equal installments. Okay. So when it is equal installment, what is happening? Let us read this question properly. So on 1st of April 22, a manufacturing company buys on hire purchase system a machinery for 90,000 rupees payable by 3 equal annual installments combining principal and interest. So your installment includes interest. Okay, that means 90,000 when split into 3 equal parts, 30,000 also includes the interest component, unlike our previous problem in which interest was plus 20,000 plus interest, but this is inclusive of interest, and the rate of interest is given at 5% per annum. So what are we doing is we are doing present value of annuity method in this case. So what we do is we try to compute the value of rupee 1 at the end of year 1, at the end of year 2, and at the end of year 3. Okay. So how do we do it? We discuss this in class. I will again show you here on calculator. Luckily this calculator also works in similar manner. Just the thing is I too don't have a GT function, so I may not be able to show you that GT wala thing, but I have M plus, so I will use that value. So what do? We do is 1 plus the rate of interest, that is 5%, which that makes it 0.5, right? And I do it divide equal to, here it shows 1, your calculator will give you results, so rather I do it 1 divided by 1.05, I get an answer. So this is the value of rupee 1 at the end of year 1. Okay. So that means 1 rupee becomes 0.95234. 23 means 234 because it's 238, right? So 1 rupee becomes 0.9524. Correct. So I'll do this M plus. Then again, don't do this M plus and all. I have already taught you the ways of using calculators in class. I will have to do things differently here depending upon the calculator I have on the screen. Similarly, 1 divided by 1.05 equal to I get 90702, which you can see the values here. And plus again equal to, we get 8638, which I've written here. You can see this. Again I am doing M plus. So in total it's 2.72324, which is given to me already in the question, but this is how we calculate that. Okay. Now since your installment is fixed 30 30 30, what you can do is you can get the sum of your present values, this amount that is 2.723, and simply multiply this by your installment. So you get how much is your cash price, which is 81,697, which you can subtract it from your total hire purchase price. 8302 becomes your interest. Okay. So this is something you can do when you have equal installment, but if you don't have equal installment, it's actually very simple. Whatever you got the values, that is 1 divided by 1.05, you multiply this individually by those installments. So 30,000 in this case, so it becomes 28,571.42. I've written 21,572 over here. You can write 28,571. It makes no difference, right? And the difference between installment and principal becomes your interest. So whatever amount you get on your calculator, just subtract it by 30,000, difference becomes your interest. Fair enough. Same way here. For second year, we calculate it again. We come on calculator, 1 divided by 1.05 equal to, got the value, multiply by 30,000, that is the installment that you pay in that particular year, comes to 27,210. Then subtracted by 30,000, which is your installment price, 2789 becomes your, or 27890. I'm just rounded off to get the correct answers, is your interest. For third year, repeating the process again, 1 divided by 1.05 equal to first year, equal to second year, equal to third year. Multiply by 30,000, you get 25,915, 914, it's fine, fair enough. Subtract that by 30,000, you will get your interest component, which is 4084, 4086. Fair enough, no problem. Okay. Make a total of this becomes your cash price, this becomes your interest, higher purchase price is already given, right? So in similar lines, we solve for this also. Now in this case, what is happening? Again, installment is same, so again you can use that total wala. Let's go with the problem which has not unequal installment like this, right? In this, Lucky bought 2 tractors from Happy on 1st of October on the following terms. Down payment is 5 lakhs and these are the installments that you pay. Interest is charged at 10% per annum. Although we can use other methods also, but let us solve this problem using annuity method. So how do we do that? Let us no, we have put it up in the ratio over here, but again you can solve this by annuity also, but we have not done it here. Suppose if we solve, I will just I ask you to only solve using annuity when asked. The IRR or annuity, you can solve only when asked. Otherwise, you can go with the simpler ones. But if the question mentions that you should use annuity or IRR, that is the internal rate of return method, then obviously you have no option. You will have to go through this. So I will just take this particular table over here. So this is what we do. Installments we will fix. Let us fix this. Discounting factor, it's given to us, the rate is 10% per annum. So first year down payment at 0 is 5 lakhs. Obviously 1 rupee is 1 rupee as on your 0, that is today is 5 lakh is 5 lakhs. So principal is 5 lakhs. There is no interest involved, right? But then installment you're paying 2 lakh 65, then you're paying 2 lakh 45, and then you are paying 2 lakh 75, correct? So this is what you are paying. So what is the value of 1 rupee discounting at the rate of 10% at the end of the year? So you come back to your calculator. 1 divided by 1.1 equal to, it becomes 0.9091, and this amount you multiply by your installment. What is your installment given to you at first year is 2 lakh 65. So you multiply this by 2 lakh 65, you get an answer 22 lakh 40,909. So your principal becomes 2 lakh 40,909. Coming back on your calculator, whatever amount you get subtracted by the installment that you have paid, that is 2 lakh 65. So 24,090 becomes your 91, basically becomes your interest. So 24,091 becomes your interest. Okay. Then for second year, discounting factor, resetting calculator, 1 divided by 1.1, first year, again equal to second year. So second year value is 0.8264. I'll write here 0.8264. Okay. Then coming back to calculator, whatever amount I've got on the calculator multiplied by the installment. Installment at the end of the second year is 2 lakh 45. So multiply by 2 lakh 45. So you get an amount, you put it up here. So this becomes 2 lakh 02,479. Correct? Then whatever it is, subtract by 245, that is your installment. You get 42,521. So 42,521 becomes your interest. Same thing you repeat for the third year. Resetting calculator, 1 divided by 1.1, first year equal to second year equal to third year. So 7513. So I'll write 0.7513 here. Correct? Principal multiply by amount of installment, that is 2 lakh 75. You get 206,612. So you write it here 206,612, right? Minus the installment 75, you get 68,388. 68,388. Okay. Then you make a total of this, which is 5 lakhs plus 240,909 plus 202,479 plus 206,612, 11 lakh 50,000 becomes your cash price. Total of interest 24,091, 42,521 and 68,388. 1,35,000 becomes your interest. Okay. So I guess I've not made a total over here, but if you make a total, you will see. I've done it using ratio. Can you see 1,35,000 is the interest paid? Okay, is that 1,35,000 is the interest paid? 1,35,000 is the interest paid. The only breakup is different. Here the interest is 2491. Here it is 25. Here it is 42,521. Here it is 45. Here it is 68,388. Here it is 65. Because I followed ratio method. which we did the second method in class. Okay, understood this? This will not be there in your solution which I shared in the classroom using annuity method. In case you want a comparison, you can take a screenshot of this particular screen so that you have how did we solve using annuity method and the second method, so you get a vis-a-vis comparison between the two. I hope you have taken the screenshot if you wish to. Okay, now coming to one half yearly problem, that was also one of the doubts.
Excuse me, sir.
We already have a question on that. So what do you do? It's 5 half yearly installment, right? So if it is 10% per annum, what is the rate of interest at half yearly? 5%. So rather than solving it for 10%, just use it 5% over here. Okay. So it was based on this particular formula. So rather than taking interest as 10 year, in this place of 10, you take it 5. Because if it is 10% per annum, it is 5% for half year. And then solve the problem as it is. Then makes no difference. Got that?
Sir, can you do the above question, the Asha one?
आशा कहाँ है आशा?
So the
ये
same, the
वाला, हाँ.
same question. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. No problem. Let us quickly go through this problem as well. So what happens in this case is, here you have been given higher purchase price. Okay, you are not given the cash price. So the problem arises because we don't know the cash price. So this is the main challenge in this problem. So how do we solve this? So let us read this question. So Asha purchases a truck on hire purchase system. As per the terms, she is required to pay 70,000 down, 53,000 at the end of the first year, 49,000 at the end of second year, and 55,000 at the end of third year. Okay, and interest is charged at 10% per annum, but we don't know the cash price. So what do? Is we put up whatever we have in the table. So in this way, your opening balance is at higher purchase price and closing balance is also at higher purchase price. Why? Generally we write cash price over here, but in this problem we have to do it on higher purchase price because cash price is not known to us. So I just jot down those things here. So if I make a total of everything, that is these amounts, right? If I just make a total of these amounts, I should get 2,27,000. Let's cross verify. So 70,000 down plus 53,000 at the end of the first year, 49,000 at the end of second year, 55,000 at the end of third year. That makes it 227. Correct? So this becomes your open higher purchase price. You make a down payment of 70,000, obviously, which has no interest component. Down payment never has interest, so installment is also 70,000. So closing higher purchase price becomes 157. How 157? 227 minus 70,000 gives you 157, which you put it up here. Closing becomes opening of the next period, so you put 157 here. Correct? Then you are making installment of payment of how much? 53,000. Correct? So you make 53,000 payment again. So 157 was balance. You made 53,000 payment. So closing higher purchase price becomes 104, which you have written here. This comes over here. Correct? So in short, let me do one thing. I will just erase this entire thing off and put up everything again so that you understand how the things are coming. So you had 227. I hope you remember 227. You're making down payment of 70. There is no interest in this. So installment is also 70. So closing becomes what? 227 minus 70,000, which comes as 1,57,000. Okay. Now this 1,57,000 gets transferred here, 1,57,000. Okay, then you are making an installment. Now this time we don't know how much is principal, how much is interest, but we know how much installment are we paying. How much installment are we paying at the end of the first year is 53,000. So you write that 53,000 here. You subtract that 53,000 from your higher purchase price because you have paid that. So outstanding balance of higher purchase becomes 104, which you write it here. Correct? Now you transfer this 104 over here. Correct? Now how much are you paying at the end of second year? 49,000. So you write that installment here, 49,000. So now you subtract 104 minus 49,000. You get 55,000 here, which is coming in the opening of the subsequent period, 55,000. And then last installment is also 55,000. So there is no balance in closing hire purchase. So I've just plotted the things over here. Is this clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us bring these amounts. We need to know the breakup of this. So in this installment, which includes interest, how much is principal component and how much is interest component. Okay. So rather than completing this table from top to bottom, rather we will go from bottom to top. Reason for this is in this 53,000, the interest is on total outstanding price, but principal is not total outstanding, right? So it is not following that 100 plus 10 equals to 110 pattern. But if you talk about the last installment principal के ऊपर ही उतना interest आ रहा है. Okay, so 10% interest is charged on the principal and the total amount is being paid. So if 100 rupees is outstanding, you will charge 10%, that is 10 rupees on that, and you will make payment of 110 rupees. So this is that 110 rupees. You can see this below with the help of this diagram below. So if principal is 100 rupees, interest will be 10% on that. So you're making a payment of installment of 110. Here you have made a payment of 55,000. So how much will be the interest and how much will be the principal? You can simply cross multiply and get the answers. So 55,000 what you got, if I divided by 110 percentage, you get 50,000, which is your 100%. That means your principal is how much? 50,000. Agreed? So the difference between the two, 5,000 becomes interest. Is this part clear, the breakup of 50 and 5 for 55,000?
Yes.
Fair enough. Now let's go to the next part, next level. For this installment, where we are paying 49,000 rupees. Remember, in this case, you cannot follow the same pattern as we did before, stating that 49,000 is what we have paid as installment. So cross multiply, you get what is the amount of principal. You cannot do that. Reason, in the last installment, there is nothing to be paid after this. So interest is charged on full amount of 50,000, which is coming as 5,000 rupees. But here 49,000 is not the only amount balance. There is something more to be paid. What is that more to be paid? 50,000 rupees. So interest क्या सिर्फ आपके 49,000 110% अगर मैं बोलूँ तो क्या होगा 49,000 डिवाइडेड बाय 110%. अगर मैं वही सेम कॉन्सेप्ट लगाऊं तो मैं क्या बोलूंगा कि आपका टोटल बैलेंस कितना पेबल है 44,545. बट वो गलत है. क्यों? क्योंकि आपको आगे 50,000 भी देना है तो उसके ऊपर भी तो इंटरेस्ट चार्ज होगा, राइट? सो टोटल इंटरेस्ट किस पे चार्ज होगा? ये 50,000 जो आपने वो दिया प्लस ये 49,000. तो टोटल आपका आउटस्टैंडिंग विथ इंटरेस्ट कितना है? 50 plus 49. So what you do? 50 plus this 49. You write it over here somewhere in the corner, becomes 99,000. Now this is interest on total amount plus total amount outstanding. तो ये 99,000 जो है वो आपका 110% होगा. ठीक है, तो ये क्या होगा 99,000. If this is 110%, what is your 100%? 90,000. और इस पे अगर मैं 10% का इंटरेस्ट चार्ज करूँ सॉरी 99,000 इंटू 10/110 करो, तो आपको आंसर आ जाएगा 9,000। तो आपका इंटरेस्ट कितना है 9,000। तो आपने प्रिंसिपल कितना रीपे किया 49,000 में से 40। सेम प्रोसेस यहाँ रिपीट करोगे। अब यहाँ पे आपने कितना बढ़ा 53, लेकिन ये 53 में इंटरेस्ट है और प्रिंसिपल है। इंटरेस्ट किस पे होगा टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग। टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग कैसे मिलेगा, ये 53 प्लस ये आपका 40 प्लस ये आपका 50, इन तीनों का टोटल करो। तो ये तीनों का टोटल कितना होगा 50,000 प्लस 40,000 प्लस 53,000। तो ये जो आपका 1,43,000 आया, दिस इज एक्चुअली योर 110%। सो इसका भी वही करोगे 10/110, so 13,000 becomes your interest.
Sir, can you repeat that once again?
Okay, I will repeat that once again. सिंपल लेते हैं, इसको उल्टे तरीके से देखते हैं। आपको जैसे मैंने अलग तरीके से दिखाता हूँ मैं आपको। आपको है, एक है आपके पास
Just the 1,43 पे।
1,43,000, बाकी कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आना आपको।
हाँ हाँ understood।
तो ये देखो, ये लास्ट ईयर जितना पे करने वाले हो प्रिंसिपल, ये आउटस्टैंडिंग प्रिंसिपल ऑफ थर्ड ईयर, आउटस्टैंडिंग प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सेकेंड ईयर प्लस इंस्टॉलमेंट जो आप ये साल भर रहे हो वो, ये टोटल करोगे तो आपको टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग प्रिंसिपल और उसके ऊपर कितना इंटरेस्ट हो रहा है वो मिलेगा, जिसका टोटल आपको 143 आएगा। देखो 53 प्लस 40,000 प्लस 50,000, यू गेट 143। समझा?
Got it।
ओके, सो 53 में से अगर 13,000 अगर आपका इंटरेस्ट है, सो दैट मीन्स रिमेनिंग अगेन 40,000 बिकम्स योर प्रिंसिपल। तब इसका टोटल कर लो, आपको आपका कैश प्राइस मिल जाएगा। सो इफ आई कम हियर 70,000 प्लस 40,000 प्लस 40,000 प्लस 50,000, दैट मीन्स 2 lakh is your cash price. Interest total 13,000, 9,000, 5,000, 27,000 is your interest, and higher purchase price is 2,27,000. Is it clear now? Okay, some ping on the yes, Sherilyn.
So I had a doubt on capsule 6.
1 second, let me come there. Yes, what is it about?
Yeah, I understood why you took 8%, 10%, and 12% because you wanted to know the amount. But then how did you get 11.23%? Like what average did you take?
11 point
11.27% is your final answer. So I wanted to know how did you get that? Even that 5.39, what you got?
Okay, so basically the thing is, if I go with, suppose if I want to continue with this only, what happens is in exam we are out of time many a times. So this is, I had solved during my last year class. So if I am out of time, I am solving this problem in examination, I do wild guess, right? I'm not having any basis to take any percentage, so I take a wild guess, say 8% first. Okay, so once I get that 8%, I get an answer of 157 as my cash price. मैं बोला यार ये तो दूर है, चलो 10% पे लेकर सॉल्व करते हैं। अब क्या हुआ, मैंने बोला था आपको इफेक्टिव कब होगा आपका आंसर, जब एक आपको आंसर मिलेगा आपके कैश प्राइस के थोड़ा सा ऊपर और एक मिलेगा आपको कैश प्राइस के थोड़ा सा नीचे, ये होना चाहिए, तो आपको और एक्यूरेसी आपका बढ़ेगा। ठीक है, लेकिन यहाँ क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ पे आपका दोनों आंसर कैश प्राइस के ऊपर है। ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे मैंने क्या बोला, अगर मेरा कैश प्राइस 8% पे 157 है और 10% पे 152 है, okay, so if my cash price at 8% is 157,679 and at 10% is 152,976, what percentage should I change from this 10% to reach at 150,000? So I'm just using that median wala formula that we have, what we use in statistics, we are using the same thing. So I'm checking what is the difference between the two first. So what do I do? 157,697 minus 152,976. So 2% change, 157,679 minus 152,976. 2% change is giving me how much? 4703. Correct? But my starting point is how much? 157,679. So if 2% will change to 4703, how much percent should I change to get a change of 157,697? That is 7697, because I need to bring this to 150. So what do I do? Compare this 157,679 with your 1,50,000. Okay. So I want to reduce this. So 157,679 minus 1,50,000. I want a change of 7679. So if I don't simply use the formula, if I just use it normally, if I write it, what would I say? I would say, just 1 second. I would say that 2% change gives how much change? अच्छा वो वापस मेरे को कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा. How much percent change should I make to get 7679? Okay. So 2% में कितना चेंज आ रहा था आपका? 4,000 something था ना. 157,679 157,679 minus 152,976, that is 4703. So if 2% gives a change of 4703, how much will give a change of 7679? So what do I do is I just simply cross multiply to get my answer. So what do I do here? In this case, if I cross multiply, 7679 into 2 divided by 4703, I get what? 3.26 or 27. So I need to make a change of 3.27 percentage. Agreed? So if I'm at 8, I will have to change it by 3.27%. So I will add 8 plus 3.27, which gives me an answer of 11.27 percentage, which is here. So what I've stated here in simple terms, it is written here in formula terms. That's it.
Okay,
I
so
have
there's no need of using the formula. We can do the cross
yes,
multiply
yes,
method as
yes,
well.
yes, 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 yes. This is just cross multiply written in the formula way of formula. That's it.
Okay, sir. And even capsule 10, if you could explain.
1 second. Hey, buddy. 7.
So, after we find out that the interest percentage is 11.27, do we have to make another column and calculate interest for each year, or is that the last thing?
See, if you are not asked for the journal entries, your solution ends there. But if I ask you to solve, give journal entries, you will have to create one more column with 11.27%, because that will give you the amount of interest, right? So you need to charge interest का जो आप थर्ड एंट्री कर रहे हो एवरी ईयर, वो आपको यहीं से मिलेगा आपके टेबल से. तो एंट्रीज होगा तो बनाना पड़ेगा. If entries is not asked, only calculation of this particular part is asked, your solution ends there. So you don't have to do anything further. Okay, so let us see this problem. What is happening in this is, I can do the self solve file है. Self solve 6 capsule 10. So what is happening is, in this case there is a repossession. Okay, now when there is a repossession, what happens is you take back money, that particular asset. So let us read this question. So X purchased 3 scooters from Super Motors, 75,000 each, under hire purchase system. Payment was made as 45,000 down, remainder in 3 annual equal installments, excluding interest at 9%. And X is writing off depreciation at 20% on diminishing balance, and it is paying installments at the end of first year but cannot pay the next. So Super Motors said that you keep one scooter with you, but we are taking the other 2 scooters. ठीक है, and whatever is the balance you pay back to us. ठीक है, so let's see. But when taking supermotor states that we charge depreciation at 30%. You may be charging your depreciation at 20%, but that makes no sense to us. For us, our accounting policy states we charge depreciation at 30%. So I am taking those assets, but I will be valuing them at 30% depreciation. Okay, so let's see how do we pass this entry. So first you bought those scooters, so entry for buying that scooter 75,000 into 3, right? Then payment of down payment, which is 45,000 given in the question, that you make 45,000, and remainder in 3 equal installment. So interest is charged. Now interest is charged on the remainder part, so 45,000 is paid, right? Correct. 75,000 is the cash price. 75 into 3 is 225 minus 45,000. So if I come here, 2 lakh 25 minus 45, balance is 1 lakh 80. We charge interest at 9% on this balance. So this is the amount of interest. So interest, cash price following cash price method, 16,200 becomes your interest. So you pay to Supermotors equal amount. 1 lakh 80 is your outstanding amount divided by 3 equal installments, that means 60 plus interest, which is 16,200. So you make payment of how much? 60,000 plus 16,200, which gives you 76,200, right? Then you depreciate your asset, you do year end entry, correct? Then next year starts, you have interest to be paid. Now out of 1 lakh 80,000, you paid 60,000. So how much is the balance? 1 lakh 20. इस पे 9% चार्ज करेंगे तो आ जाएगा 10,800 का इंटरेस्ट. तो ये इंटरेस्ट का एंट्री हो गया, करेक्ट. फिर डेप्रिसिएशन का एंट्री करोगे. अब डेप्रिसिएशन कैसा था? 2,25,000 का आपके पास था एसेट 2,25,000 का, उसमें आपने 20% पहले पिछले साल डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज किया, 45,000 का डेप्रिसिएशन आया, माइनस किया तो 2,25,000 माइनस 45, 1,80,000 का बचा. अब ये 1,80,000 पे वापस 20% डेप्रिसिएट करोगे तो 36,000 का डेप्रिसिएशन आएगा. बट अब सुपर मोटर्स ने क्या बोला कि भाई हम तुमने पैसा नहीं दिया, आई एम टेकिंग दैट एसेट बैक. बट हाउ मच एसेट आई एम टेकिंग बैक? 2 एसेट्स. सो देयर आर 75,000 का एसेट खरीदा था, 2 एसेट्स हम लेके जा रहे हैं, तो 1,50,000 का लेके जा रहे हैं, बट वी डेप्रिसिएट देम एट 30%. सो फर्स्ट ईयर डेप्रिसिएशन इज 30%, सो 45,000 माइनस होगा. सो 1,50,000 माइनस 45,000. हाउ मच इज बैलेंस है? 1,05,000. और इस पे वापस 30% माइनस होगा, यानी कितना? 31,500. सो टोटल माइनस कितना आएगा? 1,50,000 माइनस 45,000 minus 31,500. So we are taking assets at what price? 73,500. Okay, so this is what is written here.
Sir,
but in our
Explain
yes,
that again.
So
sir,
could you
yeah,
explain the
first,
ninth entry once more?
first
no
we
problem.
took 20% depreciation and then 30. Why?
Yes, 30 because when the vendor is taking back the asset, vendor states you may be depreciating your assets at 20%, but since I'm taking the asset, I will take it at my value. What is my value? I depreciate that asset at 30%. So you may be depreciating at 20%, but when I am taking back, I am taking them at 30% WDV. सो इसके लिए मैं क्या करूंगा? 2 साल का डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करूंगा. सो एकदम सिंपल है, कैलकुलेटर पे वापस आता हूँ. 75,000 का एक एसेट, 2 एसेट का 1,50,000, पहले साल का 30% डेप्रिसिएशन करेंगे तो कितना आया? 45,000, राइट? ये याद रखो, पहले साल का डेप्रिसिएशन इज 45,000. तो 1,50,000 का एसेट था, उसमें से 45,000 माइनस किया. WDV फॉलो कर रहे हैं ना, तो माइनस करना पड़ेगा. ये WDV हुआ, इस पे वापस 30% कैलकुलेट करेंगे तो आ रहा है सेकेंड ईयर का डेप्रिसिएशन 31,500. यानी टोटल डेप्रिसिएशन कितना हुआ? 3,500 प्लस 45, 76,500 डेप्रिसिएशन. तो 1,50,000 को 76,500 डेप्रिसिएट कर दिया, तो वो वेंडर क्या बोलता है? मैं कितने पे लेके जा रहा हूँ? 73,500 पे लेके जा रहा हूँ. ठीक है, तो सुपर मोटर ने बोला मैं 73,500 पे एसेट लेके जा रहा हूँ, बट इन माई बुक्स I depreciated this asset at 20%, right? So 1,50,000 का फर्स्ट ईयर का डेप्रिसिएशन एट 20% इज 30,000. याद रखो ये अमाउंट, ठीक है? फिर वापस 1,50,000 माइनस 30,000, WDV 1,20,000 इस पे वापस 20% किया तो आया 24,000 डेप्रिसिएशन. सो प्लस 30,000 टोटल डेप्रिसिएशन मैंने कितना किया था 54. मैंने एसेट था 1,50,000 का, 54 मैंने उसको डेप्रिसिएट किया. मेरे बुक्स के हिसाब से उसका वैल्यू कितना है 96. In my books the value of those asset is how much 96,000 rupees, but supermotor states I will take them at 73,500 rupees. So that means asset of 96 is taken at 73,500, which means there is a loss to me. And how much is the loss? The difference between the two. So minus 73,500, it's a loss to me of 22,500, which I am charging it to your profit and loss account. Understood this part? कैसे आया ये एंट्री?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Then I said I will pay them the remaining. How much is the remaining amount? Very simple. You add super motors to be paid. आप एंट्री देखो, सुपर मोटर्स को आपको देना था 2,25,000, करेक्ट. उसमें से आप सुपर मोटर्स को कितना दे चुके हो? 45 दे चुके थे. So I'll take that 2,25,000 minus first down payment of 45, then you made an installment payment of 76,200. पहले आपने उसको ऐड किया 16,200 इंटरेस्ट का, फिर 76,200 माइनस किया, करेक्ट है. then it comes 1,20,000, then वापस इंटरेस्ट 10,800, correct. So this becomes 1,3800, right? Yes or no? Correct. Then minus, okay, then minus is 73,500. So how much is left to be paid to them? 57,300, which comes here.
So could you explain the 57,300 again?
ओके. अरे सिंपल है, आपको सिर्फ जर्नल से उनका बैलेंस निकालना है. 2,25,000 उनका आपको पैसा देना था, बराबर है. 2,25,000 you are supposed to pay to super motors as per entry number 1. In second entry you made them payment of 45,000, so minus 45,000 कितना हो गया 180. बट फिर आपने बोला भाई इंटरेस्ट भी देना पड़ेगा, सो यू ऐड 16,200. सो जस्ट डेबिट एंड क्रेडिट सुपर मोटर्स का लेजर अकाउंट बनाओ, आपको आंसर आ जाएगा 196,200. देन यू मेड पेमेंट ऑफ 76,200 ओवर हियर, सो माइनस 76,200, 120 हो गया. फिर वापस अगला साल आया, इंटरेस्ट उनको बोला पेबल करना अपने को 10,800, सो यू अगेन 10,800 ऐड, माइनस यू मेक पेमेंट ऑफ इंस्टॉलमेंट, बट वो तो हुआ नहीं. So we paid them 73,500. They took assets of 73,500. So minus 73,500. So how much is still left to be paid to them? 57,300. Simple. In short, prepare super motors ledger account. Whatever is the balance you pay. I am just doing super motors ledger account on my calculator. So whenever you find in your journal super motors as credit, add. Whenever you find super motors as debit, you subtract. Again you see third entry super motors credit, so add. Fourth entry super motors debit, subtract. So I'm just recreating ledger account on calculator. I'm passing this again. यहाँ पे second यहाँ पे entry में है super motors credit, so add. Then super motors debit less. Whatever is the left is the balancing amount. This is 57,300. ये मैं उनको पे कर दूंगा और खत्म. समझा अभी? ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
So we will keep only this much for your exams for right now, nothing more than this. So either you prepare a journal or you prepare a ledger, and do interest, so we have covered everything. ठीक है.
So sir, the
So
rest
that's it.
of the questions like आगे जो भी type questions है वो नहीं आएंगे ना?
Sorry, क्या?
उसके आगे जो different types के question है वो नहीं आएंगे ना?
नहीं, we'll keep it only this.
So you only have to capsule 10.
Yes, only till capsule 10. But do prepare for journal as well as ledger.
Sir,
Okay.
extract. Can you show the extract of balance sheet?
Extract is just the balance of on the debit side, asset side, you show the asset. On the liability side, you show the vendor account balance. So आपने पिकअप वैन 1 लाख का लिया था, 10,000 से डेप्रिसिएट करोगे तो 90 होगा, अगले साल 80 होगा, उसके अगले साल 70 होगा, करेक्ट है। अगर इंटरेस्ट सस्पेंस कर रहे हो तो लाइबिलिटी साइड में आपका ये आ जाएगा, चंडी प्रसाद जितना आउटस्टैंडिंग अमाउंट है वो लेजर अकाउंट बनाना पड़ेगा, इंटरेस्ट सस्पेंस माइनस करके आउटर कॉलम, वही नेक्स्ट ईयर 21,200 माइनस 1,200 1000, थर्ड ईयर कुछ नहीं देखेगा। दिस इज नॉट सो, दिस इज नॉट अ डिफिकल्ट टास्क, डोंट फोकस सो मच ऑन दिस, ठीक है। फाइन, so we keep it here. In still, if you have any doubts, we are always open for that. You can just come and you can get your doubts clear, okay? So we will be there in college, you can come anytime, you can ask your doubts, we'll be there to help you, okay? So that's it for today.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much for
Thank you,
attending.
sir.
All the best for your exams, do well,
Thank you,
get
sir.
NGPA.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Bye bye. Bye.